The dim lights of the Boeing 787 flickered intermittently as it cruised steadily at 37,000 feet over the dark expanse of the Atlantic, en route from London to Las Vegas on the chilly night of November 12, 2023. Among the 220 passengers, a select group of 5 had transformed the secluded first-class lounge into a clandestine casino, hidden behind a heavy velvet curtain that swayed with the plane's subtle movements. Leading the operation was Victor Russo, a sharp-dressed Italian gambler with a notorious reputation for high-stakes risks, his slick black hair gleaming under the cabin lights. His crew included a tech mogul with a penchant for secrecy, a retired actress whose silver screen charm masked her cunning, a shady financier with ties to underground circuits, and a poker prodigy whose youthful face belied his ruthless skill. They'd spent weeks planning this, smuggling in a collapsible table, using encrypted earpieces to coordinate bets, and running a custom app to track cards and odds. Stacks of cash, poker chips, and even a few gold coins exchanged hands, the hum of the engines and the clink of glasses drowning out their hushed excitement. The game had been running smoothly for hours, a high-stakes ballet of bluff and bravado. Victor's grin widened with each pot, his fingers deftly shuffling the deck, while the actress leaned back with a practiced smile, her sequined dress catching the light. The tech mogul tapped his earpiece, adjusting bets with a nod, and the financier slid a wad of bills forward, his eyes darting nervously. The prodigy, barely 22, calculated probabilities in his head, his calm demeanor a stark contrast to the tension building around him. The stakes climbed. A $250,000 pot loomed on the table, the largest of the night, when the first crack in their facade appeared. A spilled drink drew a sharp gasp, and a chip rolled into the aisle, catching the eye of Maria Delgado, a vigilant flight attendant with a keen sense for trouble. Maria, a former police officer turned cabin crew, had clocked the group's odd behavior from the start. Their late-night huddles, the way they shielded their table, the occasional flash of a screen. Her instincts, honed on the streets of Miami, kicked in. She watched from the galley, noting the actress's nervous laugh and the financier's sweaty brow. Convinced something was amiss, she slipped to the cockpit and briefed Captain Evans, a grizzled veteran with no tolerance for onboard mischief. He nodded grimly, contacting the airline's security team via satellite link, their plan forming in hushed tones over the radio static. The game reached its crescendo, the pot swelling as Victor laid down a winning hand when the intercom crackled to life. "This is Captain Evans. We're experiencing minor turbulence. Please remain seated." It was a calculated distraction. The cabin lights dimmed briefly, a signal to the marshals hidden among the crew. Maria, flanked by 2 burly air marshals in plain clothes, stormed the first-class section with precision. The curtain was ripped back, exposing the illegal setup, cash spilling like a river across the table, cards fluttering to the floor, and the group frozen mid-action. Victor's confident smirk vanished, replaced by a look of dread as the marshals barked, "Hands where we can see them!" The tech mogul fumbled, shoving chips into his pocket, only to be slammed against the wall by a marshal's firm grip. The actress shrieked, her glass shattering on the carpet, while the financier lunged for a hidden phone, stopped cold by Maria's iron hold on his wrist. The prodigy sat motionless, hands raised, his prodigious mind rendered useless against the law. Chaos erupted in the confined space. Passengers jolted awake, craning their necks as phones flashed, recording the bust. A toddler wailed from coach, the sound mingling with the actress's sobs. Oxygen masks swayed slightly from a recent turbulence jolt, and trays rattled as the marshals secured evidence. Cash, chips, the app-loaded tablet, even a hidden deck of marked cards. The cabin's tight aisles amplified the tension, the silver and blue interior reflecting the flashing lights of the marshals' badges. Maria stood tall, her uniform pristine despite the scuffle, directing the operation with a steely gaze. Captain Evans diverted the flight to Boston, a decision relayed with a curt announcement that left the poker ring no time to regroup. The plane descended through a blanket of clouds, its engines roaring as federal agents prepared at Logan International. Upon landing, the group was escorted off in handcuffs, their high-stakes game reduced to a humiliating parade down the jetway. The tech mogul's empire trembled as his arrest hit the news. The actress's career took a hit, and the financier faced laundering charges. Victor, the ringleader, stared blankly as cameras flashed, his poker face shattered. The prodigy, the youngest, whispered an apology to no one in particular, his genius overshadowed by his mistake. The aftermath was swift. The airline launched an internal investigation, praising Maria's quick thinking, while the bust made headlines. Illegal poker ring. Busted at 37,000 feet dominated social media. Video clips of the raid went viral, turning the Boeing 787 into a symbol of justice served mid-air. The confiscated loot filled evidence bags, and the poker crew's dreams of riches dissolved into courtroom battles. Maria received a commendation, her name etched into airline lore, while the plane continued its journeys, its first-class lounge forever marked by the night the cards came crashing down.